and I'm here with a brand new segment of the Daily Talks. And today I have the pleasure of speaking with Mr. Sean Dugar, the Executive Director of More Voice DC. How are you doing today?
Good. Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure, my pleasure. I'm very eager to speak with you because I know you all have an event coming up this Saturday. And plus, I just recently started learning more about what your organization does. So I'm here to spread the word to the viewers and the audience. So first off, let me talk about you really quickly, Mr. Dugar. I know you're the executive director of More Voice DC. So can you tell me a little bit about your position and what you do exactly? Then also you could dive into what exactly is More Voice DC.
Sure. So I'm the executive director and one of the founders of the organization. We're a nonprofit devoted to helping Washingtonians have more of a say in our local elections, and more of a voice in the political process in general, in the electoral process in general. So whether that's going to the city council meetings and pushing legislation that allows for folks to have a greater say in the electoral process, more of a voice. Whether it's doing events like we're going to be having on Saturday, kind of having a town hall and amplifying the voice of native Washingtonians, people who have been here forever, who don't have as much of a say in the political process as they should.
Mhm.
Just utilizing all of the resources at our disposal to help really amplify the voice of Washingtonians and connect everyday issues to the challenges that we have in representation, whether that's redistricting that's done by the DC Council. So
Mhm.
it's done by the people who have to run for reelection versus the people who live in those communities and who want to see their communities kept whole, so that they could have the power of their vote and their voice heard through local elections.
Yes. Thank you. That was very informative. And I love everything that you said. So the first thing that came to me was why. So I know you mentioned that you were one of the founders. So I know you saw a need for this issue. So what exactly led to the founding of this nonprofit?
Sure. So there are a number of organizations that were working previously on what we call democracy reforms. There's essentially reforms to the voting process that allow for more people to have a say. And so we were kind of a collaborative of a bunch of those organizations coming together, so that there was more of a unified campaign, a unified voice, a unified organization that was fighting for those issues across the district.
Okay, okay. And now I want to talk more about the importance because one thing that you mentioned was that it was a lot of unrepresentation and whatnot. And part of that has to do with people having lack of background and lack of knowledge as well. So why is it important just to be knowledgeable about the political process?
Well, I think it's important to be knowledgeable about the process, but it's more important to be involved in the process. And so, there's a huge number of people in DC who are not registered to vote.
Hmm.
There's even a greater number of people that are registered to vote that don't participate in the process because they don't believe that the process has an impact on their everyday lives. We have children in Ward 7 and 8 that are dying from fentanyl, thinking it's candies, right? We have um, issues with crime. We have issues with over policing in some places, homelessness, the lack of housing for folks, gentrification, people being pushed out of their communities. All of these things are tackled by our elected officials. But if our elected officials are more worried about the people who turn out for them every election, who elect them to an office, then they're not always thinking about everyone. And so the more people that we're able to get involved in the process, through a number of electoral reforms like automatic voter registration, is one that we're going to be talking about on Saturday, where if you go to the DMV to get a new ID or new driver's license or update your ID, you're automatically registered to vote.
Mm-hmm.
So all of these young folks who, are teenagers and going to get their driver's license, them being automatically registered when they get their driver's license, so that when they turn 18, they're already registered to vote. I mentioned earlier redistricting. All of those are democracy reforms that can allow for Washingtonians to have a greater say and better access to the ballot, so that elected officials have to listen to them.
Yes. And you made a valid point. And part of that issue is also getting more of our people to the ballots as well. So through More Voice DC, how have you all been providing the opportunity just to get more people to go to the ballots and vote?
So we're more of an advocacy organization. So we do more so the policy side of things.
Okay.
I know there are a lot of organizations throughout the community that are focused on turning people out to vote. And so we partner with them. We provide them, our resources and tools, but we're really focused on kind of systemic changes that can be made that make it easier for people to cast a ballot. Thankfully, we now have vote by mail. And so people are they don't have to go to the election site on election day. They can mail their ballot in earlier on election day. We want to make sure that stays, that is the norm, right? We would love to see elections possibly move to a general election date, so that when we're electing people when voter turnout is the highest, when people go to vote for president, things like that. Those types of reforms are really what we're looking for. But for our event this Saturday, we're not coming with an agenda. This is really a community-led conversation about what type of reforms they think would work best and what type of reforms they want to see that allow for them to have a greater voice in the political process, in the electoral process.
Thank you for that information. And you mentioned your event on Saturday. I love how you said we don't have no agenda, because obviously the organization itself, that's the agenda.
Mm-hmm.
So what can we expect from on Saturday? Would that be more so a discussion / town hall? How we describe this event on Saturday?
Definitely. So we're calling it the More Democracy Town Hall. And so it's focused on really looking at the everyday challenges that we have. Some of them I laid out, gun violence, homelessness and lack of housing, and how that relates to the political process and to the electoral process, and figuring out solutions that we can help to push for, that would allow for voters to have easier access to the ballot box and an amplified voice in the political process. So we have organizations like the DC NAACP. We have the Million Man Voters, and others that are working. We Act Radio, that are working with us to help facilitate this conversation. And again, not come in with any set issues, any set solutions, really hear from the audience and those participating what they would like to see, and then going in, and actually we're going to do breakout groups so we can dive a little bit deeper into those issues. So it's not just one long general session. It'll be interactive. It'll be community-led. There'll be food. And so just making sure that we're in a comfortable room, a comfortable setting where folks can share their thoughts and brainstorm on solutions to the issues that we face every day.
Yes. And I am here for it. I am here for it. So based on this event, I know the goal is to get more people out there and for everyone's voice to get heard. But following this event, what will be the action taking place moving forward following this event?
So we're going to collect the recommendations made during this town hall and kind of explore with various council members, various community organizations, the possibility of getting them implemented. So really, this is kind of an opportunity for the community to have more of a say with an organization, with organizations that can amplify their voice in a way that would not otherwise happen normally.
Mm-hmm. And I am definitely here for it. And I hope I'll also stop by too, because I do plan on stopping by as well to check it out. But I hope the impact is a lasting impact amongst everybody, because we need a lot of people out there, because people need to understand the importance of just having knowledge about it. Everything else will fall into place, but just being aware, just having that knowledge, it is very, very important. So to anyone watching this, I strongly recommend, if you got a couple hours, couple minutes out of your free time on Saturday, please stop by. And can you also tell us more information about where it's going to be and how can more people get involved for those who cannot attend this event as well?
Sure. So the event starts at 10 a.m. this coming Saturday, March 11th, at Ketchum Elementary School, which is in Ward 8. The address there is 1919 15th Street, Southeast. If people have questions, they can email us at info@morevoicedc.org, and they can find more information on our website at morevoicedc.org as well.
Yes. And thank you, Mr. Dugar, for providing that information as well. I want to wrap up with this last question, mainly for you. Um, for on your personal, sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied. But for you, why do you think it's important for Washingtonians just to be aware of the political process and get more involved?
Everything you care about comes down to the political process. If you care about the environment and toxic communities, if you care about police accountability and Black folks being killed every day, if you care about crime, if you care about the fentanyl crisis and how it's impacting our kids, if you care about schools, all of that boils down to who is elected to represent you. And so the solution to a number of issues that we face every day is ensuring that we have elected representatives who listen to us, who are going to be our champions. And that only happens when they're elected by us. And so, I believe in my heart of hearts that we have to have a greater say in our electoral process. And that's why the organization exists. And that's why we're doing this event on Saturday, to really amplify the voice of the community.
Thank you for that. Thank you so much. And you all, again, please make sure you stop by this Saturday. And Mr. Dugar, before you go, one more time, can you please repeat the address for everyone watching?
Sure. It's at Ketchum Elementary School this Saturday starting at 10 a.m. The address there is 1919 15th Street, Southeast. And I will plug that we have partnered with some great local restaurants for lunch. So, we're not going to feed you some boring food. You're going to have some fun. It's going to be interactive, and you'll have some good food.
Yes. So this is definitely an event you want to be at, not for the food, more importantly, but to get your voices heard, everybody. We always talk about having this change within our communities, within the offices and whatnot. It takes baby steps and it takes a progress, but this right here is one of the first stepping stones. So I encourage all my Washingtonians, make sure you got this Saturday, make sure your voice is heard as well. Let's get some things in motion. It's 2023. We can't keep having all this ideas bottled up or all these feelings without putting no action behind it. So let's put some actions where our words is at, okay? Let's put in this work. Let's make sure our voices are heard. And Ms. Dugar, I thank you again. Shout out to the whole More Voice DC. And again, everybody, please make sure you're out there this Saturday at Ketchum Elementary School. It's your boy Abu from Daily, and we out.